A very good evening to you and welcome to Crime Must Fall Show. Tonight on the 25th day of the month of August, the year 2020. Tonight we focus into a crucial topic of women in safety and security. Just a day before Kenya celebrates 10 years since the promulgation of the new constitution, we take this time to look into the position of women, the myths and the misconceptions that have been there, and the role that the women can play, especially in this century where there is digital migration and all those things to do with evolution. Tonight we are joined by Mrs. Bridget Murithi, who is a criminal expert. We're also joined by Mrs. Monica Kimeu, who is the Secretary General in Women in Safety Excellence. Join us in this discussion as we go through all the position of women and what is their contribution towards ensuring that there is a crimeless society. My name is Cornelius Omuse, and remember, this conversation is also live on our Facebook page, KAK TV Kenya, and our YouTube page is KAK TV Kenya. You'll excuse us for the mask because we are taking all measures to ensure that we defeat the COVID-19 pandemic. Keep it on KAK TV. Ladies, welcome to Crime Must Fall Show tonight. I know it is your first time to be here, and you're so much welcomed as we go through this topic. And briefly, let's have a look on this issue of the Constitution. The 27th day of the month of August, the year 2010, Kenya, after a long struggle where even people lost their lives, others were jailed, but finally the day came and a new constitution came. So tonight, let's look briefly on some of the steps that Kenya has made as we begin by women empowerment and the position of women in the society, beginning with Monica.
Thank you, Cornelius, for having me on the show. And I must agree that we have made strides since a decade ago when the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution was passed. And I must agree, even in the security sector, there are a lot of changes. You can agree with me that even politically, we have women's spaces that are deliberate. Though we are still struggling with the 2/3 gender rule, the journey has started. So we are saying that there are some milestones to that effect. In the security sector, we have seen women. Rachel Omamo has been our pillar. We celebrate her because she has been able to head a very serious defense docket for 7 years. We have Fatma Ahmed, who's a Major General in KDF. The police have also given assistant police commissioner positions to a number of women. Actually, KDF is around 30% women presentation, and police around 15%. So yes, we have made gains, and this constitution that was passed, we are only hoping that moving forward, we have BBI, we have talks, we have a commission that have come up, we have NGEC, National Gender Inequality Commission, that is currently constituted. So we have steps to that direction, and we are hoping that in the security sector, Women in Safety Excellence is setting the pace to be able to actually position the women in security to take their spaces. Yes.
Many thanks, Monica. Let's hear also from Bridget. What have you seen as far as the new constitution and the woman's role and empowerment as compared to the past when we had the old constitution that came from the colonialists?
Thank you so much for having me tonight. And to add to what Monica just mentioned, we've seen women take on leadership positions in the government, and the private sector as well has been on the lead on that. And before, maybe 10 years ago, you'd not have seen organizations like FROSAC and others that are thriving in the industry, in security industry to be precise, that are involving and encouraging women to take up these leadership positions. So not only the government, but we can see a thriving private sector that is including women as well. So it's an interesting space, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. And again, in the security industry, you'll notice that more security companies are thriving and opening up to include women, and there's a space for them as well. So like as we continue with our conversation, you'll notice that 10 years ago when some of us started our careers, we didn't have so many role models as women starting up, but now we can have so many people to look up to.
Thank you very much, Bridget. Another thing that we really want to look at is the gains that Kenya as a country has made when it comes to access to human rights. That is actually when it comes to the Bill of Rights, the Chapter 4 of the Constitution. It still takes us back when we compare those days whereby you could only access, a few people could access their rights, a few people could access justice. And when we talk of this again, it still brings in the factor of the women, because they've always been the target and people who've suffered a lot when it comes to looking for justice. Let's look in comparison those days and from 2010 to where we are. Monica, beginning with you.
Interesting enough, the decade discourse has been gender-based violence. This is something that our grandmothers, our mothers have had to deal with. The analogy of mwanamke ni kuvumilia has been gone down through generations. But the more we are aware of our legal rights as women, the more we are educated, the more we are able to understand that there is space for that change. And you'll realize even in the police, we have gender desks now, yes? Yes, there are a few issues that have come up in that gender desk, but the fact that it is there, that is a milestone in itself. We have the Kenya National, the civil society, the human rights activists that are out there always championing for women's rights. Recently, we have had child pregnancies. That's a hot topic right now that has actually gone up because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The discourse on women and children and young girls has never been so critical like it is right now. So we are saying that the space is there. We have made small strides. I want to say small because if you look at the statistics of the cases that have been reported of gender-based violence, child pregnancies, they are skyrocketing. The question is, do we have structures in place to address these issues that are coming up? The census was done in last year, 2019. In comparison to men and women are 50% of this population. It is time we looked at the criticality of some of the ills that affect the women and girls in this country. Yes.
Let's also hear from Bridget, from where she sits, not necessarily here, but your own interaction when it comes to access, pursuing of justice. Have we as a country made greater strides, or where do you still feel that the new constitution has to be tightened to ensure that justice is accessed more so that everyone can have that time to speak the way you're doing here and even agitating for the rights?
So in the past 10 years, as Monica just mentioned, we've made some strides towards that. Well, it's not a very big stride that I would mention, but seeing a collaboration between civil society organizations and the government, again, trying to invest in the same, it's to show that there is interest in that. And maybe in the near coming future, we might see now other private associations coming in to support the government in the same. Like there's a research being done after reports of pregnancies, gender-based violence that has been reported since COVID was reported. There's been a surge in gender-based violence since March after COVID was reported and people staying at home, loss of job. And we've seen that the government's efforts towards that by introducing a toll-free line. That wasn't there before, and now we can see that is a direction and a good positive move by the government. So that in conjunction with what civil society organizations are doing, human rights activists, private companies, and all that coming together, I'm positive that we'll fight this and we are getting there. And again, there's a lot of sensitization in the media, mainstream media, social media, all that is introducing the role of women in that, in speaking up.
Maybe just to add on what Bridget is saying, you see, as a country, we need to take bold steps to address these issues. COVID-19 has brought unprecedented challenges as regarding women and children. We need to come up with a legal structure to ensure that we have funding mechanisms to assist our women and girls. Actually, as Women in Safety Excellence, we are looking to champion a legal framework that will be able to give women access to funds, to be able to conduct security and safety awareness programs that currently are not there. In the fullness of time, why not have an act in peace and security for women, an entire act just to focus on that. That will be a great milestone.
Many things will come into that, especially as we come into the solution and the way forward, because our members of parliament, the members of county assemblies, and even senators and those policy implementers and makers are watching Crime Must Fall Show. Now, let's look into something here. As women, you're a woman, you are a woman. Want to see what are some of these things that triggered your passion into venturing into the security. Mkasema lazima pia tuchukue nafasi yetu to ensure that we play something into seeing a safety and a secure society. Beginning with Bridget.
Oh, well, for me, maybe as it just was by default. Straight out of uni, I got a job my first job was in a security company as a management trainee. So that lasted for 3 months, and I saw a passion in it and I saw a space in it. But I must mention one of the challenges during that period was that I didn't have people to look up to as women who are mentors, or someone to look up to, someone that has made it in the industry. So it was a bit of a challenge for me. But as I grew through the industry, the last 9 years, actually going 9 years next month, I have grown tremendously and I've grown in networks. One of the ways that I've done so is by being a member of an organization like PROSAC and having people, actually my male peers, and I have male mentors as well that are inviting into this space, that they are welcoming and grooming you into this space and seeing how you can grow in it. Because security has transitioned from the old security that was all about physical security, about gates, guns, and all that. It's more of a softer approach that is risk approach, where you look at the entire enterprise and in more details as opposed to that.
Let's hear from Monica also.
Well, that's a very interesting question, because I don't have a background in security. That's not my baseline course. And a lot of women in this sector have been able to end up in security by default. So that you're doing a course like BCom, you end up in a finance office in a security company, then you get interested in other facets and end up in managerial positions. So for me, I ended up in the training sector of the security, and I was a program coordinator for the Bachelor of Arts in Security and Criminal Justice for Egerton University and Kenya Institute of Security and Criminal Justice. And I would be in charge of a lot of men, because it's a male-dominated sector. You find you're the only woman talking, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of support from your male champions. I think throughout my career, I've had colleagues and supervisors who, would support me. Sometimes I would be reported on very flimsy things, but then I would be able to be given a listening, because then I would be able to explain myself. I'm not that kind of person where I'll just keep quiet when you're being reprimanded. I'll be able to say, why did I do it? And because I've been able to justify some of those things, then I've had a hearing and I've been able to grow in the sector. So it takes wit, it takes aggression, it takes confidence to be able to be heard in a room that is full of men. And once they listen to you and know that you know your stuff, then you gain the respect and they hold your hand and they walk with you.
Many thanks. Now, let's establish a number of myths and misconceptions. A number of things have faced the society historically since a long time ago, where you find that there are certain beliefs which are not actually true, and they end up affecting the society in so many ways. Security and safety has not been left behind, especially now when it comes to the position of the woman, whereby these women have got this capability to handle ABCD in safety and security, but there are myths and misconceptions that even when a girl is growing into a woman, they know that this, when it comes to security, is blah, 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 but there are myths and misconceptions. So we begin from Bridget to bring them out, because we have really to initiate another conversation from our viewers and those women who would like also to come and join WISE, join PCAK to ensure a crimeless society. Few of these myths and misconceptions regarding security and safety on the part of women.
Yeah, so I think the major one that I always experience is that security is a lesser role. It's a lesser job. It's not like any other office job, so it's probably down there. So people don't actually understand that there is more to security than just probably watching over what's happening at the gate. But with time, I see organizations, and we're moving towards that, where enterprises are realizing that security managers are not just in isolation, they are part of the management team. Like I've been fortunate to work in companies and organizations where you're involved into decision making. They realize that you're bringing something into the company other than just looking after what's happening on the perimeter wall, that you're making decisions, and it takes a lot. And it takes not more than the physical strength that we always imagine that is what it takes. It takes wisdom, it takes intelligence, it takes analytical skills, problem solving skills, and most importantly, interpersonal skills. Because you might have the best security program, but how do you introduce it to your colleagues and in the organization? So there is a misconception that security is all about the physical strength and looking all big, huge, and running after thieves, but it's much more. Yeah.
Let's get also Monica's experience. What have you been coming across? Tunaambiwa, hey, hii namna gani hapana enda hivi hivyo, and then those are the things we need to really make our viewers understand, especially the women.
Well, I think the first misconception is the cultural barrier that is there. We come from a society that really looks at the woman as a lesser gender. So you cannot be able to be in the forefront when you're doing some things. I remember one time I was whistling. Ile tu kuwhistle kwa nyumba, and I was reprimanded that girls don't whistle. So in my head I'm like, kwa nini? Unajua, I mean, why? What is this whole thing about? So we have cultural barriers that actually stop you from actually talking in public, standing where other people are standing. You're just ulweka uko nyuma. That's the first barrier. The second barrier is that security is about territorial positioning and armed conflict. Yes, that is a traditional approach because terrorism has come, it has crossed borders, we have cyber crimes, and right now we are looking at the safety of people, safety of company assets, safety of vital installations. If you look at enterprise security risk management approach, safety is no longer what is at the gate because crime happens inside, yes, in the financial docket, in the HR docket. Actually, as we speak right now, security is no longer a HR function. It is a management function. We sit in the C-suite with the other executives because when there's a security breach, it is not a HR function. It is a function that is discussed at the high table right now. We have COVID-19 happening, and we've been looking at crime from borders, malls, terrorism, and bombs. This is a bio attack that nobody looked at. So crime and security is moving from a reactive sort of approach to a preventive approach. And when we take a preventive approach, now we have analytics, we have thought process, we have thought leadership in security, and that is where the women come in because we have soft skills that are very critical, like attention to detail. We are good communicators. And nowadays in the business of security, our employers, the organizations that are employing people, want to mirror their customer base. And 50% of this population is women. So we can only be on the decision-making table. So when you're coming up with security products, they suit the client base, which really is a lot of women out there. A case example, we have security companies right now that are corporate members of Women in Safety Excellence that are premier women guard security companies. We have campaigns coming up. We have all these women reps. We are saying at Women in Safety Excellence, we have female VIP protection female officers that can be able to take up these positions. So you can see we are really moving with the times and we are ready to take up our space. Yes.
Now, something comes up again, another myth that myself I've had or even interacted with this misconception that when a woman is given instruments of power, especially now being on the security where they can handle even weapons, maybe for protection or for fighting back, that they easily stand a chance of causing harm. Others say talk of the mood swings, I don't know. There are those myths and misconceptions. And we want to get it from you people who have actually done a number of workshops and trainings on matters regarding security, especially touching on the woman side. Does this thing hold water in any way?
No, it doesn't. Again, it's one of those stereotypes, cultural things that Monica just mentioned, where we are coming from. That this is a male-dominated world, and it's probably been propagated over time of the years that this is not for women. So somehow women refrain from it. So they don't go forward with it. So no one really realizes that we can do the job. But given the space, I know right now over the past few years, you've seen that women are taking up this space, and you realize with all the women that are in these spaces where they handle these weapons, as you just mentioned, nothing of those things has happened. So it's just a stereotype, and that it's traditionally been a male-dominated industry, so people have not been out there in front. So as we continue to see women in these positions, you see it's just a myth. And again, security, as we just mentioned again, is not about handling weapons. It has a softer approach to it, which is coming up with these security programs in a proactive nature instead of reacting when something happens. So that means coming up with a system, analyzing how this works, and introducing it to your colleagues and to companies. So it doesn't have to be weapons alone.
Let's hear also the part of Monica. Is this thing coming out anyway in any clear manner?
Well, I'll tell you for free that because of that stereotype that we are not capable, ladies tend to give it a double effort. Because you need to come out, you need to be different. Otherwise, if you are normal, you are set aside. So you'll find women who have been able to succeed in this, you know, in the armored area, they have had to really prove themselves. We go an extra mile so that you can really stand out. And this is what has made the women really, so that hakuna excuse. No one will come and say, she didn't do it. Actually, you did it exceptionally to a point. No one can tell you who kufanya. So this is what has really made women in our sector fight some of these misconceptions. And we have a lot of unconscious bias. Like you'll go in a meeting, let me give you an example. I am apart from being the Secretary General for Women in Safety Excellence, I am a governing council member, actually Deputy SG for the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya. And we are calling a meeting, and I can tell you maybe we are 2 ladies in the entire room with a room full of men. Somebody tells me, ex nipatie chai. And I'm a governing council member. So you can see here, one or two women, their role is to just serve people tea. Or we are taking a photograph and they will say, Monica, come here because you know you'll give flower to the photograph. No, I'm here by merit. I actually, when we talk security, we are on the same level. So these unconscious biases are really affecting us, but we are coming out anyway.
Many thanks. Let's have a look at some of the comments that are coming from our viewers here. And we have Sami Njogu. He says, good to see women involved in security. Sami Njogu is giving you a thumbs up. We say, thank you so much, Sami Njogu. Grace Kamau, good job. Monica Kimeu, you're being commented. And then we have Baba Faulu, kudos professionals. The relevance and profiles of women as primary caretakers has been raised a notch higher tonight. You are true caretakers of the country. That is a comment from Baba Faulu. We have Zipporah Nderitu. Christine, you have remembered the boy child. That's what she's saying. And then Munyiva Mulinge says our SG, wise Monica Ndanu Kimeu, and the other panelists, that is Bridget. Sure, indeed, it takes a lot of courage to get the necessary support from all. And then Zipporah Nderitu, great wisdom. We have Christine Owino. Just as indicated by my friend Ikonga, it's time we do away with the notion of kuvumilia, which in essence means condoning the ills in the society. Let us rise up to embrace the laws and actually implement. As we commend the strides made by having women in safety and security sectors, let us loop in men and work as a team. That is a call.
Right.
I hope on the second part of the show you'll also touch on how these two gender, there is that belief that another gender came from Mars, another one from Venus. We are told we came from Mars, you people came from Venus, two different planets, but we can see now how these two people can work together towards ensuring that they participate in ensuring a crime-free society. Elkanah Kiprop, the show is very enlightening not only to women but also to us men. Much appreciation to the Iron ladies in security. Go, 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 go. He's saying you people are. You have iron. I'll see later on. Shankiki tours, this is encouraged to everyone. Stephen Mogaka, who knew one time the security will take temperatures of doctors before entering the facility? Big up that wakati ya hii COVID, you go to a place, it happens. Yeah. Jen Njenga, very encouraging session. Many thanks. We take a quick commercial break. As we come back, we'll be looking into some of the steps that women can take and also participate effectively in ensuring that there is safety and security in the society. Tonight, an honor production in conjunction of CAC TV, Professional Criminologists Association of Kenya, and Women in Safety and Excellence, we are looking into the roles of the women and how they can come together working with men. Keep it on CAC TV.
I believe that people can be transformed and God can use them as agents of transformation. But I also know that the heart is deceitful. And if we do not have people speak into our lives, if we do not have God speak into our lives, any heart leans toward sin. And sin is what defines corruption.
Are you looking to grow a business? CAC TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@cactv.org or call 0794 588 054. And many thanks for tuning in to Crime Must Fall Show on CAC TV. And as we said earlier, this is a production between CAC TV and Professional Criminologists Association of Kenya. And this is not a normal night because once in a while I've found myself alone. And two ladies are bringing out what they have gathered concerning the society and the inclusion of ladies on matters of safety and security. We have Bridget Murithi, who is a security expert and a consultant, and also Monica Kimeu, who is a consultant on matters security and also works with the Women in Security Excellence. We are looking into the roles of the women, and on the first part of the show, we've looked into some of the achievements that the Kenyan Constitution has made as far as access to justice by women and also the role of women and women empowerment in the society. We have also debunked some of the myths and misconceptions that have been surrounding the role and the position of women when it comes to the fight against crime and also safety and security. And on the second part of the show, we welcome your comments. Our SMS number is on the screen. You can also put your question, your reaction and your feedback on our social media platform, that is on Facebook, CAC TV Kenya. You can also stream live on our YouTube channel, CAC TV Kenya. Ladies, before we went for a break, actually fire had been lit and things were coming up. We have looked into those other aspects. Now there is these approaches. We want to bring out clearly the position of women and what are some of these things that they can indulge in the process of ensuring a safe and a secure society. Beginning from you, Murithi.
To ensure a safe society?
The position of women, how can they participate? Because someone down from Lodwar or in Msambweni, they're asking themselves now, how do I participate as a woman also to ensure that there is security in the society?
Yeah, it starts, security starts with us. It starts with you. So being self-aware of situations and the places that you're in, and in an era where information is available everywhere, that we have social media, we have digital print, and we have mainstream media. So it's very easy to find information on situations. So this means, like, before going to a place, you assess where you're going to. Like, I'll give an example, like, if I'm traveling to a certain county that is a certain culture, I would first evaluate what the culture is before I travel there, because I do not want to present myself as someone has come from a liberal town, Nairobi, and present myself there. One, it's flashy and it attracts criminals and looks like I have lots of money with me, I have a lot of things with me, and that attracts criminals. And again, understanding how the culture is. Maybe there are places that you go to and you find you're not supposed to walk alone without a man around. Well, that you'd say is backward, but if it's a cultural thing, try to engage with the culture and act accordingly. And that eliminates a lot of problem because you're into the culture. And that's the same thing I'll say if you're traveling as well. Basic things like keeping your windows rolled up, and making sure that your doors are locked. Stuff like that where you're basically self-aware, situational awareness, that is something we should always encourage and make people aware of. Yeah.
Let's get to Monica before we come back and also look at some of the other, we've talked of the professional requirements. We need to see some of these courses, some of these places, some of these associations. Is it the PCAK? Is it the WISE that comes up to show those women who want to participate in the security? We are coming there. What are some of these roles a woman says, mimi pia nataka ni participate to ensure that I'm also a contributing factor to a safe and a secure society?
Thank you, Cornelius. I think to begin with, that is why Women in Safety Excellence was established, to create a space where women can be able to join in hands, so that when we are having security awareness programs, they're able to trickle down to them. So we're encouraging as many members, because security is not about the profession. Security cuts across all professions. Actually, I look forward to a time where we'll be training security in primary schools, in secondary schools, so that then we teach our young people. And it's not just about girls, even boys. We want to be inclusive, all right? So that then when we are approaching security, both genders are playing their role effectively. When you teach boys at a young age that girls should be respected, when you teach girls at a young age that their reporting mechanism when you're violated, we slowly stem the vices that are currently there. So this dialogue needs to be very purposeful, and Women in Safety Excellence is actually going to roll out a nationwide campaign to be able to discuss some of these issues now that we have child pregnancies and sexual gender-based violence cases on the rise. We appreciate that the National Police Service is launching the Polycare program that was just piloted the other day. So these are some of the partnerships that we are having to ensure that at the end of the day, tusaidie jamii, because there's a real problem, Cornelius.
Many things, Monica. Now we come back here. Bridget and Monica, there are those ladies who are looking at you from the other end, wanasema, hey, mimi pia ningetaka hata siku moja nifika hapa kwa television, pia niambie watu matters concerning security. And I take you back to your words, what you told me earlier, what you told us earlier as we began about the training, the courses, how currently everything has gone, things have revolutionized. Therefore, it needs someone to gain some extra training to see that they also participate on these matters to do with safety and security. What are these courses? What are these institutions that these women have to approach? What are these courses that they should endeavor to train in order to ensure that they are well equipped on matters to do with security and safety of the society?
Well, for any lady that's willing and interested in getting into security, right now, unlike like 10 years ago, where you wouldn't find a security course to take up, there's so many that are being offered locally. And there are also international accreditations that you can take up. And another thing that has been, we are fortunate in this generation to be with, is like me being a member of PISAC, that I've been able to network with other leaders in the industry, not just women, but men as well. Because this space, we've witnessed that you cannot work in isolation. Men and women working together and giving us this space, mentoring us. like there's a mentorship program at PSAC for young people that are coming into the industry. Because sometimes you get into the industry, you're so green, you don't know where to start, the courses to take up, but there are people willing to work with you, to stand with you, to show you the way. Again, these are some of the gains that we've gained in the past 10 years, as we just mentioned in the beginning, that over the few years we've seen an open space for private organizations coming up, and one of them is PSAC, and coming up with programs like this. And it's not just a mentorship space, but also a networking. You get to be with other people that are in the same industry with you, understanding the other challenges other people are experiencing. And again, the industry is opening up to other organizations and other companies that are including women. Like Monica just mentioned, there are companies that are opening up that are solely targeting women, like giving them space, giving them the upper hand. So there's an opportunity for women to come up, and there's more space for them. And maybe to sum it up, security is not just, and I think I've said this so many times, that it's not just about the gates. Because there's a misconception that it's not a fancy job that you wear your fancy clothes to. No, it's like just any other business, any other course, or any other career that you can take up. You will sit with directors and make decisions, and it's a smart one. It requires one to be smart, to have these skills like problem solving, analytical skills, and coming up with solutions for organizations and companies. So if you're taking yourself back and thinking maybe this is not a fancy one for me, no, it is, and there's a space for everyone. There's a space for you to take up there.
Let's also get from Monica's side, as other ladies are looking up to you, emulating you, and they want to really walk in your footsteps and even do much more, maybe better than you. What are some of the approaches you advise them to pursue? Bridget has done a good job in elaborating, but you also have your own other approach towards this.
Well, I can only say that plug in. I mean, there are so many avenues to plug in. Women in Safety Excellence is one such. Actually, it's one association that captures all the women in the sector, both private and government. Now, ukiwa pali kama hapo, you find the opportunities are available. We have a mentorship program for young people. Actually, part of our objective is to mentor the next generation of women leaders in security. Number one. Number two, be confident. We tell our ladies, be confident to go to the unconventional roles. Don't say, iyo siwezi. Give it a try. Right now we have institution of higher learning, universities offering BA, Bachelor of Arts programs in criminology and security studies. You have masters in security management, PhDs. The whole academic line is set up to ensure that people can be able to professionalize in this sector. Yes, recently we have international accreditations that currently people in the sector are actually getting certified to do the same. So we are telling our young people, and ladies who are in even other professions, please plug in. The minute you're in the fray, when opportunities come, then you are available to get them. Otherwise, when we are isolated, tunapotelea hapo katikati. The men have been very kind. Like I said, some of us are here because we got support from our male champions, and they walk with us this journey, because even them they have girls, even them they have sisters and aunties and whoever's. We need to have a purposeful channel of ensuring young people, girls, get into the security space. Most of us, I can tell you, we are in the security space by default. Kazi likupata hapo, umeingia training, umeenda security studies. But we want young people to purpose. Ukimaliza hivi high school, you want to become a security analyst. I want to be a systems controller, you know, and there are very lucrative positions in the private sector that are merging with government. So please plug in. I mean, we have associations, but Women in Safety Excellence is positioning itself, because even women in other associations across the country are joining the fray. The sky is the lower limit in Women in Safety
Many
Excellence.
thanks, Monica and Bridget. Now we come into something here. We are all human beings. That is, I'm human, you're human. And that's why when you look at the Bible and other descriptions, they talk of in the first day, God created man, or man shall not live by bread alone. It didn't really mean man or Muse or another man. Actually, we are all men in that aspect. We want to look at some of these ingredients or something unique. As you said earlier about security not only being about the muscles, some of us are men, maybe we don't have them. It takes more of our brains, intelligence, investigations, packaging, how to influence, and so many things that comes there in between. But again, we want to get it from you now as the security agencies, the policy makers and implementers, because at the end of it all, you'll make a plea to them to include the women because of the uniqueness that you bring on board. What are these new ingredients that you feel women have it in a unique way that when they bring it on board, then safety and security of the society is guaranteed at a good percentage?
Other than what I've already mentioned, obviously it needs security is not about physical attributes, but again, you realize that women have the sixth sense, they call it, the intuition where you have a feeling, a gut instinct that this is going wrong or right, and you follow that. That is one. Two, women pay attention to detail more than men. I might be biased, yes, but that is something that I've realized over time. You notice that there's something that you note we in a group with men or something, and women will tend to note that more than men would. And at the same time, we are trying to create a holistic approach to security, not just men, but women as well. So when the two come in together, it becomes a holistic approach to security as opposed to it being a male-dominated industry alone. So that in itself, creating a holistic approach and creating a space for women who are interested in security to have this space where they can exploit their interest is something that should be worked on as well.
Thank you, Bridget. Now, as I go to Monica, something will come up after your submission on this matter of the uniqueness of women, because actually it is a night of harmonization, how these two people from Venus and Mars are going to work together in bringing security. Let's hear from you, then I'll have to bring that thing in so that we debunk it actually at that level. What is this new thing, this ingredient that women are bringing on board?
Well, I can tell you we are good mediators. You know, we have different characteristics with men, and women are peacemakers. They're mediators. They're teachers. So in their approach to security, they are more people-focused than the physical aspect of electronics. They're about feelings. They're about empathy. Like you can, for example, let's say, give you an example in a shopping mall. There's a woman who has lost a child, all right? And she's screaming and she's hysteric. And you give two scenarios where there's a guard, there's a female guard and there's a man guard approaching her. The man guard might start asking this woman, ulipoteza mtoto ukifanya nini? You see? The woman will be like, relax, calm down, alienda wapi? You see, these are two different people. Because of psychology, they approach things very, very differently. So women are more empathic. So in the case of good cop, bad cop, you know, they're usually the good cops, because then we need the masculine the masculine side to be able to have bring out the other aspect of security. So what are we saying? We are saying that we bring to the table an array of sunlight into the darkness that is already there. We want to be part of the, for example, the UN Security Council Resolution 1325, which is 2 decades down the line now. It was set up in the year 2000. It calls for women participation in peace negotiations. You find most societies are reactive in security, but women always have a preventive approach. What can we do to ensure it does not get there, it does not escalate? We want to stop being the end subjects of conflict, that decisions are made, and because there is no one looking at the preventive side, we are always reacting. We are spending money with a lot of budgets, trying to mitigate the risks that are already being experienced. So women always tend to look at the before. What can we do to prevent this crime from happening? Can we talk to our young people now? Like now, I want to emphasize, this COVID-19 has really given us a chance to be able to get back home with our children. I urge our mothers and our parents, this is the time to talk to the young people. Let them know who they are, the do's and don'ts of the community. It is time we take the security back to the homestead. That is where it needs to start. Yes.
Now, as we come to the parting shot or to home stretch, let's look at the roles of different players, because the society does not operate in a vacuum. We have the NGOs, we have the government, we have the society itself. When you talk of the society, we have everyone who makes up what we see and what we interact with. So I will wish you'll take the role of the NGOs and the civil society, and then you'll take the role of the government that's standing on that side. What do we really call upon these players to come together? What are some of the things that you feel wanafaa kukaza nati to ensure that both the women and men are involved? And we begin from your side of the civil society.
As you've just mentioned, it does not work in isolation. Like the government cannot just solely work on this alone. And we've noticed that since COVID-19 was reported in the country, that the government has not been working alone, but other NGOs and civil society organizations have been coming up to support in sensitization, in donation, and things like that. So to begin with, what NGOs and civil society organizations can do is helping in informing, giving the information to the communities and to the society in general, to realize that there's a role of a woman in this space, because so many of these places we are missing them up because we do not know. The information is not there. But if we have other organizations and other people coming in support of the government as well, to sensitize the public and let them know of what's going on and the gap and the space that is there. Just the first step is realizing there's a gap and realizing that this is what we need to do and the steps that we need to take. And then the civil society organizations and NGOs coming in and supporting these steps, that is the very first step to do.
And maybe finally, how the civil society, including where you're working, are they really trying to ensure that women are also placed at a position of influence, position of decision making and implementing when it comes to matters security?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons why I'm here today, that I've gotten this space where I can come to a show like this and talk about women issues and participation in security. And that is one of the steps that I'm talking about, realizing there's a gap and involving women and giving them a platform where they can voice their concerns. And this way we can work and have a holistic approach to these issues and see their side of their story. Because sometimes women are left out because people do not realize what issues and what challenges they're facing towards that. But having women in there, like I'm involved in PSAC and being a member and coming in here and outlining the issues, that is one of the steps.
Before she comes in also to send her appeal to the government, and I told you there was something that was coming up. As we looked at the myths and misconceptions, the stereotypes, minds of the society and all that comes up, there is that aspect na ni maongezi machafu. Unasikia mtu anaongea huko nje, unapenda kuongea kama mwanamke au unapenda kutoa asili kama mwanamke. And this has been making sometimes even on security matters women being denied an opportunity because some of the people fear them that during the process of being in the intelligence part they can easily spill the beans. So also we want it to come from you, bring it out. Is it still also true, or it's something that someone is just coming up with the things that do not add up?
Well, I think I want to just say those are stereotypes because personalities differ in both men and women. We have women who talk a lot. We have women who are introverts. We have men who are extroverts. We have women who are introverts. So it is a stereotype that is out there that generalizes women characteristic to all. It is not the case. If you're able to look at psychology critically, you will realize between men and women, actually women are very good listeners. Observation, very critical. But again, it cuts across the genders. It is about personality traits. Let's give people a chance of being themselves and judge people on independent personalities, because then the stereotypes really just rubbish the good and the bad and the ugly,
and
which is actually not the case.
Now, let's get into now your appeal to the government, because at the end of the day, hao ndio wana mambo mengi sana regarding the legislative, the way you made an appeal as we began that something has to be done in the National Assembly. There must be an act or a bill has to be brought which will finally become a law on matters peace and security. What do you think is the government's role in this? And this brings us into that part when you're even doing recruitment for prison wardens, for police officers, for the military, for people in the National Intelligence Service. what do you think the government should invest more, or have they done a satisfactory part when it comes to recruitment and inclusion of women on security matters?
I think it's time. It's time that we say things as they are. We appreciate the government efforts in engaging women in the security sector. The National Police Service is doing it. We have a number of women who are very seniorly ranked. KDF is ahead of the pack at 30%, and maybe police around 15% according to the latest statistics that I have seen. What I'm appealing to the government is we need women in the negotiating table. We need women to be able to speak on their spaces. The private security sector, I can tell you, we have so many MDs who are women, but they are nowhere. In the private sector, there is no space for the woman. The private security regulatory authority, the current board has no woman in it, yet the private sector has women players who are serious business entrepreneurs. So I'm appealing to the government, if you can be able to have an act that is purely for women, peace and security, so that then we are able to task the National Police Service to meet the threshold of a certain percentage, KDF to meet a certain threshold of a percentage when they're doing recruitment. The private sector, when you're doing roundtables and you're discussing serious decisions as regarding business, that women are participants. It has to be purposeful, it has to be structured, it has to be government funded. Any society, mothers are pillars to the communities. Nations are referred as she's. The day we realize the part that women play in a community, we are going to mix. Right now, the current president of the forerunner, Joe Biden, his running mate is a woman. So we are saying this is what you need to see, even in our political arena. These alliances that are forming, we want to see women there because we are ready to ensure that there's mechanisms for safety and security for them. So the government of the day, it has done something, yes, but it can do a lot more.
Many thanks, ladies. And just as we wind up, a number of comments here. We have Kipiator Cheptek, very informative and professional security session. Go, 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 ladies. Wangari Wawashira, good thing to see women venturing in careers that were considered to be men-only job. Kudos. Barbara, A.O. Bridget and Monica are great representations of the wisdom and intelligence women do bring to the security field. Christine Owino Omuse, that's a very interesting myth that women are affected by mood swings and there can be caused more harm. For instance, in situations of handling weapons, I want to challenge you to bring in panel to bring accurate statistics. We shall do that. Rish Arun, women in safety and security increases overall security nationally. The society in general becomes safer. Hongera. Christine, SG Wise, Monica and Bree, well done representation. Sarah, good job ladies. Women should be in front runners. Zipporah Nderitu, Paul Care Kenya, team celebrates CAC TV. Thank you ladies. Elkana Kiprono, the show is I want to tell the whole world that the only deep state that brings crimes of all sorts to an end is PCAK. Crime must fall. Baba Faulu, mentorship in this industry hasn't been properly embraced, leaving the budding criminologists exposed. As PCAK, we have moved in with the deep speed to bridge this glaring gap. I agree, coming together is the beginning of strategic positioning for opportunities by industry players. We appreciate your feedback, your participation, and your audience tonight. This has been a very wonderful engagement led by Monica and Bridget, who've come on board to bring in harmonization on how men and women can work together towards ensuring that there is a safety and security in the society. We appreciate everything that you have sent in, and this gives us the morale to continue doing more and more. Till next time, for me, Cornelius Omuse, on behalf of the executive producer, the management of PCAK and CAC TV, from me, Cornelius Omuse, I wish you a good night, and more are on the way coming on the collaboration between the Professional Criminologists Association of Kenya and CAC TV. Have a very good night and God's blessings.